Hey, good morning everybody. Happy Sunday to you. 8:14 here in Honolulu. Been up early, got some of the church set up, picked up the van, and just ran home to change into a shirt with a collar. Look at this, nice collar. And I'm actually headed to go pick up a friend from Maryland who's visiting the island, and I'm gonna take them to church, so that's pretty cool. But I wanted to talk this morning because I don't think I'm going to have any other time today to do that. I wanted to talk a little bit about photography. So I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram at JimJessBaker. I just posted a bunch of photos that I took yesterday hanging out with some friends. A huge thank you to Inga and Janelle if you guys are watching this. Thanks for letting me test out my new camera. So it's interesting because we shared that we lost about a quarter of our committed monthly support team, my wife and I. A lot of our salary, the majority of our salary comes from financial support and partners in ministry. Jess is the director of the Biblical Core course here at YWAM Honolulu, and YWAM as a whole is a completely volunteer organization. So that's how we get our salary, is through the ministry partners. And so I posted that thing a couple days ago, and I'll share a little bit about that at another time. There's been an amazing outpouring of generosity, so thank you all of you. Thank you to all of you who have given and responded to that. That is a huge blessing, and I've got some pretty crazy cool stories of God's faithfulness in that as well. So anyway, I don't know if you guys are into the Enneagram. I love the Enneagram, and I'll let you guess what my Enneagram type is if you don't know me, and we haven't talked about that. But something that I kept reading about, just good habits for my Enneagram type, is to have an outlet and a hobby. Let me get my bearings on where I'm going right now. Yeah, so having an outlet and a hobby. And so I used to do photography. I actually did a photo school with YWAM in 2008, which was an amazing experience. That was my first time in Hawaii. Dennis Farringer runs an amazing photo school, and photography was something that I was really passionate about in 2008. And I think it was about 2014, 2015 that it really just became a burden to me. It wasn't fun anymore. I think I closed out our photo blog saying hobbies should be fun and career should make you money, and neither of those things were happening. And it just became a point of just not enjoying it at all. It just wasn't fun, and I wasn't making money doing it. So I ended up selling my gear, gave some stuff away, and hadn't touched a camera for quite a few years. And recently I'd been thinking, man, maybe this is something that I want to get back into. Also, with having a child now, it's like there's my full-time model right there. So anyway, it's just interesting juxtaposing the fact that we're losing supporters, but then I went out and bought a nice camera. And the reason I bought a nice camera is because I feel like I have the skills to utilize some of those functions, and I was excited to try this new brand. A lot of people have moved over to Sony. I was shooting Canon. I had a Canon 5D Mark II when I was shooting before, and so I just bought the Sony A6300, and that's not the newest model of that lineup, but it is a nice camera. And the crazy thing about God's provision in that is I had really been kicking this idea around for a few months. Jess was on board, thought it would be a good idea for me to have a creative outlet and hobby, and so we got some end of the year gifts and ended up having to use those for other things. I was kind of earmarking that for that camera, but we ended up having to use those for some other things. And then I was just praying on the way to work one day, thinking about this camera, knowing that it had been a few months since I'd been thinking about it, and just, it's funny that God answers prayers that we're flipping about. I wasn't like directly praying, it was just a thought in my mind, and it was really kind of flippant. It's just like, well, God, if you want me to get a camera, it would be awesome if you'd just provide that for me. And literally that day when I got home from work, I checked my email, and there was a end of the year donation that was in January. So they didn't make the end of the year, but they wanted to give that gift anyway. They were a little late in doing it for about the amount of my camera. And so just the fact that I had prayed that day, and that money came through on that day, I was like, man, I think that's the Lord. So I did buy this Sony camera. The funny thing about it is the zoom ring is backward from Canon, so I'm just so ingrained in using Canon all of the years that I did that it's just muscle memory. When I'm trying to zoom, I'm trying to go one way, and then that's going wide on the Sony, and then the menus are a little bit different. The thing that I'm not sure about is the focus. When I was just had it out and playing with it, I feel like the autofocus is pretty slow, and then some of those pictures that I posted also were not as sharp as I would have liked them to be. So I don't know if that's an issue with the camera, if that's an issue with me. I'm gonna move around some other settings. I've talked to some other people about some various focus settings that I want to try. So yeah, that's photography. Geeked out on some photography. And the cool thing about Janelle and Inga, who I took photos of yesterday, spent a couple hours in a couple different locations. One was the Whole Foods parking garage. Every time I went there, I was like, man, if I ever do photography again, I want to use this location. And then we were going to go into Chinatown, but I didn't have time for that, so we just stopped by Ala Moana Beach Park and shot a couple shots there. So I'm pretty sure my computer is still calibrated using an X-Rite. I don't even know if it's the brand X-Rite, but a color calibration tool for my monitor so that the colors are correct. So then when you upload those onto your iPhone and then on Instagram, some of the colors get a little wonky. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to display my photos, if I displayed too many. It's interesting, Dave Ramsey talks about his marketing team is all under 30. I'm obviously not under 30, but these kids can use Instagram really well, and I feel a little behind, but I have some friends that help me out and teach me all the technological things. Thank you, Hannah Dennis, for showing me how to use the technology and being patient with me as I am an old man. So yeah, photography. I'm trying to think if I got anything else to say about photography. I'm sure I do have other thoughts, but let me know. It was fun to just get out and shoot. Oh, I was going to talk about Janelle and Inga. Janelle and Inga were students this past quarter in Jess's Biblical Core course. So during that 3 months, they read through the whole entire Bible, and then they inductively studied, I think, about 12 of the books. And their favorite teaching was obviously Revelation. I'm just joking a little bit because I taught Revelation in that course. So anyway, Janelle and Inga, along with 5 other people, are going to Mongolia. They leave next week, and they're going to be freezing there. I was in Inner Mongolia in January as well, in 2004, and it was so cold. So it's going to be quite the shock for them to go from Hawaii to Mongolia. But they're going to be working with Christians there and teaching them the Bible, teaching them how to really study the Bible, how to study it on their own, use the tools that they've been taught, and connecting with various ministries there and really helping them out with the Word. So we're super excited for that team that we're sending out to Mongolia. And yeah, that's about it. I think I'm going to try to focus on where I'm going here as I pick up our friend. And yeah, thanks for listening. And there is another Sunday driving thoughts with Jim. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, let me know if there's something else you want me to talk about. If you want to photo nerd out with me, let me know. Check out the photos I posted on Instagram. Let me know if you've got some tips on how I can better display those photos. I was wondering, I think I uploaded about 14 photos in 3 different sets. Wondered if there was a better way to do that. I probably should have cut that down to only posting the 7 best or 6 best or 3 best or something like that. But anyway, there it is. Let me know if you're shooting Sony and if you're having any problem with that autofocus, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.